you know, it's connected to the other, you know, the communication of writing, which I try to communicate with an audience, is connected to that communication that I have with my family and friends.
I have a question. I'm holding Flannery just a bit more.
Okay.
I've noticed one theme, anyways, that may or may not be clear, even to you perhaps, but I'm sure there are others in there that I've missed. But I do see, like from Pew Road and definitely in American Salvage, it's not certainly not, in my opinion, the main theme, but one theme that keeps popping up to me is the girl in the rowboat in the river. And 2, maybe 3 stories. I'm not sure about women and other animals, but as that's been a while. Is that something that's drawn from your life, or is it just a coincidence?
Do you mean literally a girl in a boat on a river, or just that situation of a girl alone? The
theme of that. I mean, the occurrence of that. Is it a representational to you that?
I mean, it's not representational or symbolic or anything like that, but I am familiar. My new book is all about a river, and it turns out that
a river runs through it.
A river does run through that book, and it turns out, and I haven't said this too often, but I say that one of the stories took off from American Salvage, but there's a story from Women and Other Animals. There's a whole story. The inspiration for writing the book, the new book that comes out in July, is that I wrote the story of the girl in Family Reunion, the girl on the river, and then I suddenly realized she's the same girl in my other story. She's the exact same girl. So I had been writing about the same character without even realizing it, had a different name, so it was having those 2 chunks is what inspired me to write the river book.
Well, she's a vehicle of sorts.
Yeah, and I guess I'm interested in, I mean, first of all, I love rowing. I love the river. You know, I go to the ocean now. I teach in Oregon. We go out to the ocean. I don't know what to do with the ocean. Look at it. I mean, it's huge. It's huge, and it just blows against the wind blows, and everybody says, don't go out there. The sneaker waves will get you, so you can't even go out to the water.
You can pretend.
So, but give me a river, you know, give me a river, someplace where things are slithering into the water and things rise up from below and jump up, and especially in those polluted rivers, they're just trying to get a fresh breath of air. And, but, you know, the river is such a living place, and relative, even Lake Michigan kind of feels a little dead to me. And I know I love Lake Michigan, I love the ocean, but a river just seems to me such a fertile place. And especially even that, you know, the banks of the river rise. My family has a cottage, a little teeny weeny little cottage on the St. Joe River, and it's on stilts like the one in the Fishing Dog, which is part of the new book. And every year the floods come up and they wash everything away, and it's just such an interesting phenomenon that's part of life when you can't get into your house for a while and everything gets all your trash gets washed away. That's kind of nice, I guess. Although I guess you get the trash from upstream, you know. But I am interested in rivers, what rivers stand for. I don't know if I'm finished with rivers for a while. I'm not sure. I am thinking about writing about a tree house though.
Got that tree.
See, my first novel was all about the land. Q Road was a land novel. And this is a water novel, a river novel. So maybe I need to get a boy in the air.
One of your characters climbed a tree with a 22. So.
Yeah. You got to do it sometimes.
Yeah. Now, a 2-part question before Flannery. And just to reiterate, I guess you would tell people that are beginner writers or frustrated or whatever to submit as much as possible once they think it's polished and they've gone over it often. Online is becoming the way to do it now, I guess.
Well, it should be part of the plan.
Part of the whole feast.
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask also, what point in your career did you, if you had one, indeed, do you have an agent?
Okay. The thing about publishing is, for some people, it doesn't feel productive to worry about publishing anywhere near the beginning. Some people need to have that outside assurance, but I think there's a lot of us who would benefit from just working in our groups, taking classes, trying to get this whole body of work, a little bit of a body of work. And again, it's a personality thing, because I think some people do want to be out there. They want to be part of that conversation right now. So if you feel that urgency, the good thing is there are lots of opportunities, more nowadays for new writers, especially with the online stuff. So if you're feeling that urge to get out and be part of this, then do. But if you're not necessarily feeling that, if you feel like you want to get it right and you want to keep working it, that's also fine. Take your time, but also be sharing it with someone. Be working with other people. You can't do it alone. A couple of people did it alone. I think most of them who you think did it alone were lying. Hemingway didn't do it alone. Gertrude Stein was reading his stuff. You know, very few people really go it alone. A few people will tell you they do, and first of all, you can't believe anything a fiction writer says. They just say what sounds good, but doesn't mean I just discounted everything I said. Be sharing it, be part of the conversation, whether it's part of the big conversation out in the world or part of a smaller conversation that you're having with a small group of people. Maybe through someplace like having readings here, having local readings here, sometimes inviting somebody from outside to come in, but having something that you have among yourselves. Because you need to know why you're writing, or you need to be puzzled. No, you don't need to know. You need to be puzzling through the questions about why you're writing, who are you writing for, what's really the meaning behind all this literature. And it might turn out you don't need to be a part of that, whatever the big world of writing right now. It might turn out that there's comfort and there's so much to learn in a smaller space, in a class or in a group. So if the good thing is it works any way that you want it to work. But I do worry a little when I feel urgency. Some of my students, I can feel their urgency and to get out and publish, and it's good, and yet not if it's just going to cause anxiety. You know, there's so much anxiety over everything to do with writing.
It can be putting the cart in front of the horse.
Yeah, the most important thing is to write really great stories or poems. And another good thing to think about is you just got to write one a year. If you write one good story a year, that's good.
In addition to that advice, are there supplemental programs, computers, magazines, books that you would encourage writers to read or to use as tools?
There's so much about writing that's out there, and what I found now, I work with students who report to me on the books they've read. That's one of the things they do during the semester. I teach in a low residency MFA program, do you guys know what this is? So that I go to a residency for 10 days, see all my students, all my fellow faculty, and then I do the rest of the work from home, and my students send me work by email.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's a nice thing for people who have jobs and can't drop everything to go join a program. And it costs a little more than the other program, and you can't get a teaching gig, but it's a great system. And so I get reports from my students on what books about writing they're reading. And it's surprising, very different opinions about books. The book that I thought everybody would love, they don't necessarily love it, and they love another book. And so, one of the books that for sort of advanced writers that if you've been thinking about, the basic one is Janet Burroway, basic writing fiction. If you're going to start the nuts and bolts, Janet Burroway writing fiction is a really good one. And unfortunately, it costs about $70. So what you do is you look for the old copies that are, they keep, it's in the 10th edition or whatever. You look for those old ones and, bring the old ones into the store and sell those. They're a lot cheaper. But that's a good one, basic things, and get you used to the lingos, because if you're going to talk with other writers, you want to have your lingo. You want to have the writing language, how to talk about point of view. And then there's a lot of people love just books that inspire them, like Bird by Bird. Does anybody read Anne Lamott? Yep, for a lot of people, she's really insecure, and that helps writers, a lot of us writers feel very insecure, and she's goofy and funny. And that's a book that just gives you a couple of, kind of a pep talk, and some people need a pep talk. And there's another book that came out, Nicholas Del Banco came out with a book on writing, and I haven't read it yet. I'm trying to make my students read it. but so I can figure out if it's a good one. And so I'm sure it's great. He's one of our state's guys. It's called the greatest. What's the phrase about imitation? Is the greatest
Flattery.
Yeah, the greatest, and I think the book is called The Greatest Form, or I think it's called The Greatest Form, because it teaches you to write by imitating. And I think that was an old-fashioned way of writing. I think my mom, when she went to school, said that was how they were taught to write, by imitating writers. So there's a new book like that. And I bet, my guess is some people will hate that book and some people will love it. And some people, this is a dumb way to write. I want to write my own voice.
Is it?